Bagger Bennett.
He's a dangerous man when he gets them going, there's absolutely no doubt about that.
2019, it's Andy Bennett who makes a big splash. Proves to be better than the best. But this is the man you have to watch out for. Watch out for me! He's the master, a lean, mean fishing machine.
He's unlike any other angler I've ever seen.
Surely he can't win it for a full-time Jamie Hughes. Oh, look at this. Showing no signs of nerves. Don't mess with me. The leadership could change with a win.
This is as close as it's going to get.
This could go any way.
Don't mess with me.
Well, the nerves are jangling not just around the UK, but around Europe as well, as we get very close to the FishOMania final 2020. Well, as you can see, things are a little different this year. Normally we have a grand ball on the eve of the event, and we have the draw. We've done it in various ways over the years, but this is unique. Being 2020, we're doing the draw online 3 or 4 days in advance. You joining us live on the internet now. Well, a man who's always been ahead of the game is Keith Arthur, our fishing guru. We've seen everything over the last quarter of a century, haven't we, with FishOMania? But, oh, my goodness gracious me. It's going to tidy up the office for us. You don't get more 2020 than this, do you? The online draw.
What do you think I'll be doing all afternoon? No, it's true. It's very strange circumstances, but I think it's something that has been working. Many anglers, every angler in the match today will have experienced online draws since match angling was thankfully restarted just a few short weeks ago. And it restarted before almost any other competitive sport, which is just phenomenal. And anglers are now used to it, and I think some of them quite like it. You know, at least you can go to bed the night before, in this case almost half a week before the event, being able to make a plan. Now that plan might be, yeah, I'll win there. It might be, I'm fishing for a section there. It might be, I've got to try this in that peg. You know, I think it's a brilliant concept.
Well, I'm hoping that 24 anglers out there watching us at this moment in time agree. Of course, we have 24. We have, for the first time, the defending champion automatically qualifies. The Angling Trust Ladies Champion as well. Last year's junior champion, the champion from Germany, and 20 UK qualifiers. We stuck a couple later on. So 24 anglers will be around Hayfield Lake come Saturday afternoon live on Sky Sports. But they want to know where they're going to be stationed, the all-important peg draw. And we've got four famous faces here to join us. Now, we couldn't have 24 famous faces on the big screen in a second. But first of all, let's hear from the man who is the reigning champion for 3 or 4 more days at least, Andy Bennett. Andy, how are you?
I'm good, Rob, thank you.
Right, the reign is coming to an end, or is it just getting closer to your second year?
Hopefully just getting close to my second year, yeah, so we'll see where we draw, and fingers crossed it goes well.
Favourite number when it comes to peg?
I think 5 to 8 is a good area. The wind's going to blow quite strong on Saturday, so it could change a few things. They might move a little bit to the right, but somewhere around that point of the island, I think it's going to be a favourable area to pick a peg. I don't think pick an actual peg, but 5, 6, somewhere where I was last year, I'd be well happy with that.
And I know you agree with that, Keith, don't you?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'd like to be as well, Andy. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, Keith.
You've had a pretty good year this year already, haven't you? So it's you know, we're now looking for a bit more icing.
Yeah, hopefully. Like I say, conditions are going to be very windy, so anything can happen. Spoils a few people's plans maybe, but you've just got to set everything up and see what happens on the day.
I think on that bank, the bank you're talking about, who have the wind over your back there, so there is, in those pegs, maybe a chance of a bit of pellet waggler fishing, but on the other bank, maybe directly behind the island they can do that. But otherwise, I think there might be a few rods being left in the rod bags.
Yeah, it'll be testing conditions, but you don't know what happens. If anything could throw a spanner in the works, it'd be the wind. You know, if it's a flat, calm, hot day, I think that 5 to 8 would be nailed on to win. But, you know, there's a bit of room at the top end of the lake this time. So pegs like 58, end peg 24 could chuck something up. You're going to have a bit of room to draw some fish in. The fish might back away from the island with the space. So nobody really knows, but that's what we're hoping for, is 5 to 8 and draw there, hopefully.
Hope for the best.
And we'll keep you on hold for a second or two, because we want to hear from the other guys and gals as well. You're a champion with a ladies' national champion on the line as well. Abby Kendall is hiding from the kids at the moment, who won the ladies' championship last year with a record weight of 86.8 kilograms. You'd settle for that on Saturday, wouldn't you?
Something like that. I don't know. I think it was 96.
96. Oh, I do apologise. I stand corrected.
I'm not sure. I can't remember now.
So, how are you feeling about Saturday? I mean, you're the envy of every female angler in the country, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, just to find out where we draw and then go from there. Really, I'm excited. It's great to be part of. So,
Keith.
Yes, it's a fantastic event, and you know, we've just called Bagger Bennett. You're not too bad at catching a few fish yourself, Abs, and it is a sport that in most cases women can compete at. You know, I think we're seeing more and more good, properly good female anglers, whereas you go back 20 years with respect to people like, you know, Wendy Lithgow and Helen Dagnall and people like that Wendy Locker, there weren't that many. Emma Picken, who was a very young girl then, there weren't that many that you'd fear if you drew next to with respect to them. I mean, I've got battered by Sandra Scottle off the next peg, so I speak from experience. But now there are some great young women anglers.
yeah, it's good to see more coming through. It is nice to see. Like the ladies' national last year, I think was one of the highest. Like we had 55 females taking part in that last year. So I think it's getting better. It's definitely getting better. It's good. And I've got
You've got what?
So what number are you looking for? Where are you looking for? Before Andy was saying it was 5 to 8, wasn't it? What was your numbers?
Yeah, around that area. But like Andy said, I think anything can happen, especially with the weather conditions and, you know, the time of year. It's a different time of year to last year. So I just think anything can happen. And fish can swim.
Well, on Saturday afternoon, we're going to have some legends in the world of angling. But when it comes to FishOMania, the biggest legend, of course, is Jamie Hughes, the only angler out there to win FishOMania on 3 occasions. As you can see over his left shoulder as we look, that's the trophy cabinet. There seems to be a space there for a 4th trophy, Jamie. Is that right?
I'm working on that one, Rob. I'll let you know.
You were close last year as well, weren't you? They're right to the wire.
I was. I thought we had it for a little bit, but wasn't meant to be. But we go again this week.
I think
I'm sure you'll write the book one day when you sorry, Keith. You write the book one day when you've retired, How to Win FishOMania. If you could put it into one sentence at the moment without giving it away to the other anglers, what was the big thing?
Yeah, a lot of luck.
Lots of luck. Go on, Keith.
One thing last year, Jamie, I think that maybe didn't help your chances. You were sharing a big shoal of fish, weren't you? There was a nest of fish there, and they were just moving between 2 of you. And you know, you were both fishing really well, and you just neither of you could dominate the other to the extent of catching enough.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like the fish were definitely in mine, and it was young Jordan next to me. Am I right? The fish were definitely in our area to start with. I think it's because we had that the big space in front of us where the podium normally is. But slowly they've worked their way back to the island, and Mr. Bennett has given them a right hiding when they've got there, hasn't he? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't let those chances go very often.
No.
What's your lucky number, Jamie? What's your lucky number this year?
I really don't know, Rob. I've only actually been up there once with the chaos of lockdown and that, and putting all the coaching back. I've not managed to get up there, so I don't know. It's Hayfield, isn't it? They can literally end up anywhere at Hayfield on the day, so I just want to be wherever the fish are.
Well, thanks. We'll hear from you in a second or two when you know exactly where you're going to be angling from. That'll be in the hands of Emily Fraser. We've heard from 4 of the stars there, but of course there are 24 stars on the day. I think we've got a video wall now. It's like a 1970s game show, or maybe a family. There we go. All waiting with bated breath. Some biting their fingernails, some chilled, some anxious. Let's hear from Andy Power, who's come second on 2 occasions. Andy, you're in your 8th final. They used to say there's nothing for second. Well, there's 10 grand this year if you come second, but you want the gold medal this year. Let's see your reflection in that trophy.
Yeah, obviously we want to go one better. Hopefully this year I can do that. But I mean, it's so much luck involved. It'll all be down to the draw. And I don't think any of us know where we really want to draw. It'll just be where the fish are on the day.
You say it's all down. Yeah, you say it's all down to the draw, Andy. And whilst you're right to an extent, there are different anglers suit different methods. And I know we've got some great all-rounders in this particular field, but there are some that specialise in some things more than others. And I used to do a job for Gary Wilshire when he ran the book. I used to give all the anglers marks out of 10 and the pegs marks out of 10. And I used to think the person who got nearest to 20 would win the match. And quite often, I was reasonably right. Not as right as Rob, because he backs the winner every year. He backs everybody, but he backs the winner every year. And you know, you must do the same. You must look at your peg and think, well, that's the result because he's there, and I fancy that peg to do this on, and I know he's not as good as that as me. Does that must give you some hope, surely? It always did me when I was competing at not quite your level, but when I was competing at the upper end of open match fishing, I was hoping that the good pegs, if I didn't draw them, I hope someone that wasn't quite as good drew them.
Yeah, there's an element of that. But I mean, at this level, everyone in this final can fish. And I mean, next weekend especially, the wind's going to affect us quite badly, so it can be anyone's match. And it won't really matter. We're all capable of fishing, and I just think it'll be wherever the fish are on the day, and whoever makes the most of it. Yeah.
Andy, thanks very much. We'll let you get into preparation mode now. And I think we can head over to the Matchroom HQ and Emily Fraser, the multi-sport managing director. You look as nervous as the anglers. And I know you're always in control.
I was just concerned because when I saw Keith, I thought there was a live DJ on this draw. So I'm not sure about those headphones, Keith.
Have a look at my mic.
Oh, gee.
Oh, proper rocker, mate, me. Somebody said I should get one from my house music. Someone said I should get proper equipment for my house music, and they said, "What's house music?" As well, Dolly Parton. I've got.
Well, on that, we've obviously had a few setbacks this year. You know, we had our date change. We had to delay the event slightly, but we've not let that affect us too much. We've tried to stay very determined as well as creative as to how we can try and, reignite FishOMania for this year. We're not going to have any live spectators there. We want to engage with our live viewers as much as possible. So this year we've got a new scoring system, which we hope we're going to have obviously more instant updates so everyone viewing at home can see things a lot quicker. We're also introducing simultaneous scoring and weigh-ins as well. Just, previous years, I think you'd get to the second weigh-in and the first scores have only just come up as such. So, people aren't there on the day. They want to know who's in front. They want to know what the scores are. So one of our main aims for this year is to obviously try and update that as much as possible. So that's something that we're really going to focus on. We've also got section winners as well. Sometimes the weights can get a bit ahead of themselves and it can be hard for anglers to keep their determination throughout the event if they're so far behind. So now we have £2,500 for section winners to just keep that determination throughout the full 5 hours of fishing. Also got a drone as well, so we'll be able to see that. I'm going to say this and everyone's probably going to wonder what the hell is going on, but we've got some signage to go in the lake, which is some plantoons as such. So things are going to be a little bit different. We're trying to keep it creative. We're trying to keep it fresh. And yeah, I think this might be the best FishOMania we've had yet, despite all of the setbacks that we've had. I love this new live draw. I think it's way more professional. All of the anglers are here. Although I feel a bit nervous that everyone's sort of resting on what I pull out of this bag, to be honest, but I'm sure everyone...
Please don't drop any.
I'm sort of looking at this going, oh God, okay. But I'm sure we'll get cracking and set everyone out of their misery.
Well, you'll be fine, as you say. It's brilliant that Matchroom have managed to get this on, and it's going to be a major event. The downside is that there won't be any spectators on the day, so we won't have such an atmosphere. The upside is we'll have more people watching on the television. And as you say, so many great innovations for Saturday. And the latest innovation is that we do the draw live online. And I know that they want us to stop prattling and find out where they're going to be sitting on Saturday afternoon. So we're going to do it in order of qualification. First of all, the man first person to qualify, because was Andy Bennett, because he's last year's champion. The first time that a champion has automatically qualified, Andy is the first ball out of the bag.
God, so under pressure. Number 10.
Number 10 for Andy Bennett. Next, the junior champion, Billy Marlow, making his debut in the main event. Won it last year, and there's also part of the junior national team event winner. His favourite angler, by the way, is Andy Bennett. If you can sit alongside him, where's he going to be?
13.
Or will it be lucky or unlucky 13 for Billy Marlow? Next up, the ladies national champion in 2019. She went back in July, over a year ago now, with a record weight. I think it's 86.6 kilos. She thinks it's 96. It was that big, honestly. Abby Kendall.
Number 6.
Number 6. A very favourable draw.
Oh, good.
The first qualifier, the man who won in his first ever qualifier, the first qualifier of the year at Tunnel Barn Farm, Ashley Davis.
Number 14.
Number 14. Second to qualify back in March. Little did we know then what was to happen for the next 3 months at Viaduct Fishery is John Hannam.
Number 7.
The last qualifier before lockdown. Then we had a 3-month break and we reconvened in June. A very tidy catch of 86.18 kilos for Connor Barlow at Partridge Lakes. And Connor will be fishing from
24.
Peg 24 right on the outside. I think that's in Lancashire, not in Yorkshire. Next up, Andy Power. Qualified 7 times. Had a second, had a third. Only missed 2015 since the year 2013. He will have Peg
21.
Next, in the middle of June, we went to Woodlands Lakes, winning by £30. Quite an easy win on the day for Matty Higgins.
Number 8.
Right in the middle of the field as well. Keith said the favourable pegs will be 5 to 8. He's right on the edge of that. Matthew Davis, who was also at Partridge Lakes, he won with 75 kilos, making his debut. He will be on
Number 5.
Peg number 5, which is, I think, the most fancied peg to the debutant, whose favourite anglers, by the way, are Andy Bennett and Jamie Hughes. He's going to have them not too far away from him. Next is Luke Sears, a ceramic tiler. Brittany Sears, as he's known to his friends. Luke, who won at Lakeview Lakes, will be on peg number 9. I like the way you've got that little squiggle underneath as well, so you know it's the right way around.
Yeah.
Oh, scared you then, didn't we? The most famous face in FishOMania, 3 times champion in his 10th final, Jamie Hughes, says he doesn't care where he is.
Number 15.
Peg 15.
Just in case you can't see.
Aidan Mansfield, back end of June, Moorlands Farm, construction lecturer, making his debut in the event as well. Will be on
22.
Peg 22. In his second final, successful at Tunnel Barn Farm, is Paul Blinken.
Number 11.
Legs 11. Chris Lane, another debutant, won at Moorlands Farm at the start of July. An experienced angler will be on.
Number 4.
Number 4. From Barton on Humber, Ryan Lygard. His third final. He's finished 9th in 2018. He also had a 15th place in 2016. Clearly hoping to better that. He's on peg.
Number 2.
Number 2. Colin Scott in his second final. He was here 3 years ago. He's back in 2020. He will be watching the field and catching the fish from.
Number 1.
Peg number 1. Lee Farmer was the champion at Makin's Fishery, shall I say, on the 14th of July, making his debut in FishOMania. This is the moment he's been waiting for.
Number 19.
Now, we like to make it European, but of course, with travel restrictions of COVID this year, we only managed to go to Carpendrom in Belgium, and we have a German qualifier. Timo Kuhlmann is watching us from abroad. He wants to know where he's coming to.
Number 20.
Peg number 20. A good week for German sport. Daniel Bennett, another debutant. He's been fishing since the age of 10. On those banks, lonely days, afternoons, dreaming of the FishOMania final. He will be on.
Number 12.
Peg number 12. Yet another debutant, but an experienced angler. The British pole champion of 2011 is Mark Griffiths.
Number 17.
I like the way you were checking that was the right way around there. There's going to be some family rivalry from Saturday afternoon at Hayfield Lakes because John Light Jr. has qualified for the next gen, and he found out an hour ago that he was going to be fishing off peg 2 in the next gen. His dad is going to be angling from
Peg 3.
Number 3. I suppose ideally one would be on the other one's shoulder and acting as the bagman, but not this week. Rob Swan, only 19 years of age, a design student from Carlisle, who was part of the World Under-20 Championships in 2019.
Number 16.
Number 16. We're down to the last 2 pegs now. Adam Southgate, who got to the semi-finals when we had semi-finals of FishOMania in 2016. Didn't quite make it to the final day, but he's there now. He's finally made it after qualifying at Monk Lakes. The penultimate qualifier will be on peg
23.
I know if I was good at this, I could tell you what the last number is, but Steve Openshaw, I'm sure, will know that he is on peg.
My lucky number, 18.
Oh, well, we know you're going to be putting the money on that one at the weekend then. Thank you very much, Emily Fraser. You can go and sit down and have a very large cup of tea or coffee now. That was absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
That's the rehearsal out of the way. We're going to come back to you in 10 minutes and do it for proper. Is that okay? There we go. Right, the 24 anglers now know where they're going to be angling. Keith, your initial reaction?
Wow. It's so difficult to predict anything. We know, well, we expect by the weather forecast for the weather to be tricky for the weekend. It's going to be a coolish day, 16 degrees, a cold night coming the night after. It's only going to be 10 degrees the night before, but down to 6 the night after. And there is an old angler's tale that sometimes right and sometimes isn't, that fish feed up for a frost. Now, 6 degrees doesn't mean a frost usually, but Auckley, where Hayfield is quite a way out in the country. It's a very flat area, Robin Hood Airport just up the road. So it's a little bit of a frost trap. It can be a cold night, and the fish may be gearing up for it. There's a cold front coming through, northeasterly wind, which is we've had before at Hayfield. It's not an unusual wind there for FishOMania. It's not a regular wind for the countryside, but it's an unusual wind. It's a fairly common wind for FishOMania. It's so difficult to call. I mean, obviously, 5 has got the history, and one thing you can use to predict the future is by looking at the past. So you've got to say that 5 has got a very good shout. But I've said it at the beginning. They've got fins, they swim around, and they'll end up where they want to stop.
Well, you said it's going to come down to the conditions. Andy Bennett said when we interviewed him in the lead-up to this that it's man against nature. So, Andy, how do you feel about being pegged at number 10, defending FishOMania champion?
I'd be lying if I said I'm happy, Rob, but it's not where we want it to be, really. But like I said, we've got some space. There's a lot of room to my left, that end of the lake. So if the fish are at that end of the lake, then who knows? But yeah, it's not really where I'd want it to be. I think it's permanent peg 14, which is set back a slight bit as well.
What's your build-up between now and Saturday when it all starts at just after 11:30 on Saturday morning? How do you prepare now? You know where you're going to be angling from.
Nothing changes really. I've done all my preparation. I've just got a few more hooks to tie, a few more rigs. Because I'm not in a good area, I probably will change my approach slightly, be a little bit more negative. The problem there is I'm in the good section as well, so chance of your section is quite slim because the winners or second will probably come from there. So I'm not going to go too negative. I've still got, obviously I'm fishing to win, but yeah, it's not an area that holds a lot of form. There was one peg to the right that caught 2 days ago, and 2 pegs to the right would be absolutely made up. And then obviously, but you never know, Rob. I'm not, I'm going to give it 100%, see where we go, and just try a few things now, see how we get on.
Keith?
So you think the
is he
winner
right
or
to be
second
despondent?
Well, no. Well, he's in the final. I've got no chance of winning 50 grand. Andy might not think he's got a great chance, but he's got a lot more chance than me. I only get paid. I don't even get paid quite that much. I'm not like you. I don't get paid quite that much. But when you look at the draw, Andy, you've got a feeling in that first or second is going to come between 7 and 12. Is that right?
5 to 8, but one lad who don't get a lot of mention, I think is going to do really well this final, is Higgins. He's been catching a lot of fish, put a lot of time in there. He's on the peg I was on the other day, and I just think he will do really well from there. And I think not many people will know Matty, but as an outsider, I would say he's got a very good chance of being top 3 Saturday. I'd fancy him.
I think.
To do well.
Yeah, I think you've got. You mentioned they're going a bit more negative, and I know they're a completely different set of pegs. But you look at how Sarah fared on the ladies' match last year, when she just fished for carp for a very short time and then decided to catch what she could catch, which was skimmers, and it finished up as enough. Now, I'm fairly certain it won't be enough when you've got all those island pegs in. But, we saw Kevin Rolesby there, albeit a lifetime ago, with 37 pound odd of bits and pieces. It's not unheard of.
No, I mean, it's one of them, Keith. You're going to need probably, I don't know, £200 to win, unless somebody catches really well on the island pegs. But that wind will affect a lot of people's fishing. Like long pole might be a bit of an issue. Waggle fishing might go out the window a little bit. But short pole might be good. Bomb might be good. Method feeder might be good. I'm not seeing many people fish a method, but with a good wind on it, you never know what'll happen.
No, good call,
Andy. Thanks very much for joining us. We get through the various angles as well now. All the very best this weekend. Let's hear next from Abby Kendall. Now, when Keith was giving the build-up to this, he said pegs 5 to 8. Abby, you're in the midst of that. I'm right in saying you're on peg 6?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Happy.
So we'll just have to go and try my best. Hopefully they'll stay there.
What do you think's your forte, Abby, as a match angler? Do you think that peg will suit how you want to fish? You're opposite the island. It's quite a narrow peg. You've got probably a few more options than other people.
I've been up there quite a lot, and I've put a lot of work in this year. So I'm just hoping that it pays off. I've worked really hard. I've been there all this last week in matches and stuff, and I've been catching fish. So we'll just see how it goes on the day. Like I said, anything can happen.
Exactly. Head down, eyes open.
Yeah.
Abby, thanks very much. It isn't the best of signals between us and you. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see and hear a lot of you, I'm sure, on Saturday afternoon at Hayfield Lakes. Now, if the line goes down here with Jamie Hughes, I can pop round the corner because as the crow flies, it's about a mile away from me. Our three-time champion wasn't too concerned about what peg you drew. Is that still the case? No, you know you're on peg number 15?
Yeah, I'm actually quite happy, Rob. I think I'd rather been on the favourable grass bank on the island, like everyone's talking about. But I think 45, which is where I am, that'd be the first peg that I took on the wood bank, as we'll call it. So yeah, I am. I'm really, really happy there. That's a peg that will suit the conditions on the day, I'm hoping.
Is that the peg that Will Raisin was on last year, Jamie?
Yeah.
Because Will was very, very confident, and he was a little bit frustrated after the match for various reasons. But he told me that he'd fished it on the Thursday for 3 hours and had £180. And he caught him on the method that Andy just spoke about. He caught him on the method, and you know how to throw one of those.
Yes, we're not too bad at that. So it is probably the best method peg on the place, if that's right. And hopefully, if conditions are right, hopefully the issues that Will had don't exist. Hopefully the wires go in a different way this time. But
I did make that known. I did make that known about 2 weeks ago, and I know that I don't know whether it will be changed or whether it will be the same as last year. But I made the production team know that caused a problem last year that they weren't aware of. So, who knows? I'll keep my fingers crossed for you anyway.
Hopefully. But now the draws worked out really well by the looks of it. It's quite an open draw, isn't it? It looks, I wouldn't know where the winner's going to come at the minute. No. Do you know what I'm fancying as a bit of an outside? I fancy Connor. I think it's 58 is going to be the end. With all that space, he's going to be my little sneaky shout.
Yeah, that is a good area in that. I think is the peg where Kevin Rolls won it from with bits and pieces. He was in that little bay on his own, and you know it was around there certainly.
I think he's on the opposite side, Keith. I think Connor is MPEG 58 or 60 on the wood bank. I think that's where he's going to be.
Yeah. I still think I might be right. Kevin
even
Rolls,
when he's wrong, he's right.
You weren't even born when Kevin Rolls won it.
No.
I think it was the second year at Hayfield because, you know, everybody was island, and the lake switched off. And Kevin just concentrated on a short rig down the side, and he caught what was in front of him. And whilst the lake is very different now and the carp have gone from that big to that big, and you don't need so many of them to get rid of a load of those, it's a good peg.
Yeah. So fingers crossed.
Thanks very much, Jamie. All the best this weekend. It's great, isn't it? Normally when you have these matchroom promotions, you've got a boxer in there who's going to say they're the best, and they're talking down the opponents. All these guys are saying that somebody else is going to win. Let's go next to Andy Power, who's been very close on a couple of occasions. He's in his 8th final. Andy is hoping to go one further and take that £50,000 rather than the 10 grand second place. As we said before, we have section prices as well of £2,500. Andy, what are you thinking about your peg position? Peg 21?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm really disappointed with that one. I was actually there a couple of years ago. Me and Jamie were next to each other there. I think that's Jamie's peg, and it's a really tight part of the lake because of the shape of it. And a lot of the pegs are sort of crossing over each other, so we haven't got a lot of room there. So I don't really fancy it. But maybe my only saving grace is that the peg I do fancy, Connor on the end peg, is in my section. So maybe I might get a default section win. You never know.
The thing is, Andy, when you were there before, you and Jamie had more or less a peg-to-peg battle on the pellet waggler, and Jamie almost put the white flag up, didn't he? Because you were doing really well on it. That's going to be a tricky tactic to use on Saturday if the predicted wind comes, because it's going to be in your face, and I don't think fish like it very much when the pellet waggler's dragging along.
No, it's going to be hard to present a waggler, especially on that bank. I think it'll be coming across me as well a little bit there, so it will be awkward to fish waggler long pole. So I'm a bit limited in the tactics I can fish. So at least it's a simple match, and whatever happens, happens. So we'll give it a go.
Good luck, mate.
Andy, thanks very much for joining us. Andy, Abby and Jamie. We've heard from 4 of the anglers there. We'd love to hear from all 24 of them. We can't hear from all 24. We don't have the time. We'd still be here on Saturday morning. But I think, can we still see them all? Are they all in the magic window still? Give us a wave, guys. Thumbs up or thumbs down if you like your peg. Yeah. Luke, yeah. Go. Maddie's like that. Well, good luck to you all. Sleep tight and fish tight, the lot of you. Now, Keith, you were saying that you have this mathematical equation where you take the ability of the angler and the likelihood of the peg winning. Give us your fancied 3. Is that fair for me to ask you?
Yeah, I've got to say that I think the only 10 peg on the lake is peg 5. There are quite a few 9s. With the way it's pegged this year, with nothing up the other end, Connor is on a 9. I don't know if there's going to be any stoppers. So that's going to be, I assume there will be, so he'll be on an M peg, but it will depend on how the blocker angler, if there is one next to him, is fishing. I think that Jamie is close to a double 9. I think that that peg 15 that Will was on last year, if the cables aren't where they were last year, and they aren't, they're either the other side of the barrier that you can't cast past, I think that peg 15 is, and you know what Jamie's like. You know, he can catch fish out of a damp sponge. So, 15 is a good peg. It's a lot better than a damp sponge.
Just to confirm, Keith, there will be stoppers. There will be stoppers on Saturday.
Then that takes a little bit of the dairy off that N peg on the other bank. So, yeah, it's always tough to call, Rob. And I know I always say that, but I try not to, and I don't think it is. And I've sat and I've predicted winners and I've predicted people that should win and have come very close before. And I've also predicted no hope pegs that have proved me wrong. I just hope that it's a fair match, that the weather doesn't have too bad an effect on it, and that I think the weather could be a leveller. And what we want in match fishing, especially big match fishing, is as level a playing field as you can get. You're never going to get it like a darts board where everybody throws from the same distance at the same holes. It's always going to be different. It's always going to be an element of luck. There's always going to be an element of elements, but it's still, it needs to be as fair as it can be. And I think the weather is going to make it just that.
Well, I can tell you the weather forecast at the moment for Doncaster of the weekend is 20% chance of rain, winds north to northwesterly, 17 mile an hour winds and gusts of 32 miles an hour. So, Keith, everything that you have in that little study of yours is going to have to get into a suitcase. You've got 4 days to get it packed, and I will be joining you and the rest of the anglers, the eyes of the nation, watching all of us on FishOMania 2020. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us. Good luck this weekend. Let's hope that it's going to be a cracking match. And, well, it has been so special having you all online as well. Join us on Saturday on Sky Sports Action and Sky Sports Mix. It all begins at 11:30.
Bagger Bennett.
He's a dangerous man when he gets him going. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
2019, it's Andy Bennett who makes a big splash. Proved to be better than the best. But this is the man you have to watch out for.
Watch out for me.
He's the master, a lean, mean fishing machine.
He's unlike any other angler I've ever seen.
Surely we can't win it for a full-time Jamie Hughes. Oh, look at this. Showing no signs of nerves. Don't mess with me. The leadership could change with a win.
This is as close as it's going to get.
This could go any way.
Don't mess with me.